Hello, this is David, Fairly Secret Music. I'm doing the Vinyl Tag 2021 questions, but the problem is I don't get vinyl. There's actually only one record in this whole stack of things. I am a CD guy. I do have vinyl. I have a couple turntables, but I mainly am just a CD collector. So, the Vinyl Tag 2021. It's funny because I just did a Metal Tag 2021 and said 2001 two times at the beginning. So I figured I'd put these out fairly close to each other, actually at the same time. So same shirt. If you are watching the Metal Tag 2021, I chose not to take any metal bands for any of these questions, just so there was a lot of different stuff. So a discovery in 2021 or 2020 was Andrew Gould's Lonely Boy box set. And if you are not familiar with Andrew Gould, the Golden Girls theme song is originally his song. So I don't know if that is a selling point or if it is a running in fear point for some of you, but this thing is awesome. Listen to the song Lonely Boy and you will be hooked. Alrighty. A quarantine buy while in lockdown. The very first thing I bought that I can remember is Script for a Jester's Tear. So that is Fish's signature. I ordered this from Fish in England. This thing took 3 months to get to me. It got to Chicago in about a week or two, and then it sat in Chicago for 2 weeks or so. No, maybe it was... No, I ordered it, and I think it took a month or so to get to Chicago. It sat in Chicago for two weeks, maybe even 4 weeks in some place, I have no idea. And then it went from Chicago all the way to California, back to Minnesota. But this is the deluxe edition of Script for a Jester's Tear. It has a complete remix of the original album and the Market Square Heroes EP, and it has a live show and Blu-ray 5.1 of the whole album. And it has interviews with each of the members individually, which is cool because then they don't have to be nice to each other in the same room. So that's awesome. An LP you want to find in 2021. I don't want to find the LP, but I do want to find the 10-disc box set of all the ZZ Top albums in the original mixes. There's a 10-disc box set that is out of print. So I'm hoping one day to stumble on it. I don't want to pay huge dollar amounts that you are seeing them go for. Maybe after I'm done with this video, I will check to see if anybody has it for a decent price. Because, you know, that's what extra money from the government is for. And let's see, a box set. I've already shown you 2, but I figured I would show you the Fotheringay collection. Not really a box set, so to speak, but more of a book set. It has 4 discs, and the 3rd disc is actually a DVD performance. Excuse me, is a DVD performance. I think they only ever had 1 album, and the 2nd album was never released, and then they have a live album. If you're not familiar with this, this is the band Sandy Denny was in after she left Fairport Convention for the first time, and then after she did this with her then husband, then she went back to Fairport for 1 album, I think it was, maybe even 2. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's got a rip in that. I wonder how that happened. That's bullshit. Anyway, a concept album. I figure I will show Marillion Misplaced Childhood, because normally I'd show King Diamond Abigail. But this is a fantastic album. This is an album with this album and a later album that I'll mention. I used to work at a CD warehouse, and therefore it was before, right at the beginning of iPods. So I didn't have an iPod, but you could not bring any music, so you had to listen to the radio. I had to listen to the same shitty radio station over and over again, and so I would just turn off the radio and sing Marillion Misplaced Childhood and another one that I will show you later on. An album where an artist or a band changed directions. I would say nothing changed directions more than King Crimson from Red to Discipline. Whereas Red was still total 70s prog rock. Discipline was so different. Such a change. It was like two different bands. Literally, because this, they wanted to call themselves Discipline. The label didn't want them to, and both, I believe, Tony Levin and Adrian Belew said, "We're American, we're not disciplined." A compilation album. This is Twin Cities Funk and Soul. Lost R&B grooves from the Minneapolis and St. Paul area from 64 to 79. And it has a bunch of singles done by a record label from Minneapolis called Secret Stash that I don't believe exists anymore. I think they went under, which is very, very sad. They did... oh gosh, I can't even remember. There was an older gentleman, kind of like in the same vein as Charles Bradley, who had done a lot of music throughout his life, but never really got the attention that he deserved, and whose name I cannot think of for the life of me right now. But later in his career, or later in life, before he passed away, he had one or two albums that were just fantastic. Same with Charles Bradley. An album that tells a story. Oh, that's why I didn't do concept album, because King Diamond, the concept album, I would show, and this album has such an awesome story that this is the only metal album. I forgot I grabbed this. So, in 9th grade, for winter break, my friend Mike borrows me Paul Di'Anno Battlezone cassettes. I had them sitting out of the cases, hit a can of Coke against a corner of a dresser or a TV. It exploded all over Mike's cassettes, so I had to rebuy those two Paul Di'Anno Battlezone cassettes. One, actually, I washed off, and it wasn't too bad. The other one I still had to get. My mom and I were getting the second one, and I said, "Hey, Mom, can you get me this on cassette?" And she got me King Diamond Abigail. I got this. I was hooked. I love it. It didn't have lyrics with the cassette. You can hardly tell what he's singing if you haven't heard this album and looked at the lyrics. And once you read the lyrics, you can kind of, you always know what he's saying. But it created my obsession with needing lyrics in all of my CDs, records, or cassettes. And then the day after Christmas, I got second edition of Talisman by Games Workshop, and my friend Rob and I played that for, I think, 3 hours, all while listening to King Diamond Abigail over and over again. I'm not sure why Rob allowed me to do that, because he's never been a big King Diamond fan, and it doesn't seem like something he would want to listen to for 3 hours, but I believe we listened to this like 2 or 3 times, and anyway. All right, an album that needs a vinyl pressing. This was on my Metal Tag video, Mind Over 4. Okay, this is metal also. Well, they're not really metal, but this has never been released on CD, and remember, all these, like an album that needs a vinyl pressing always means an album that needs CD pressing. So Mind Over 4 out here. I have this on cassette. I have burned it onto CD, but I want an actual official version. There is vinyl of this, but that doesn't count for me. An uncommon album and a common album. So here is the common album. Cranberries. Everyone else is doing it, so why can't we? You can find this in the quarter bins, especially like about 10-15 years ago. I loved the dollar section at Half Price Books, and you found every Cranberries album. But this album is so awesome. It totally reminds me of 1993. Is that the year it came out? I think so. Yeah, 1993. Man, I remember working at a record store and hating the district manager. Oh God, he was such a jerk. He yelled at me in front of a customer because I was talking to the customer about stuff that the customer was into. I vowed never to let anybody talk to me that way, and I don't think I've let anybody talk to me that way since. Especially like that guy. So that's the common album. An uncommon album is Robbie Aceto's Code. Robbie played with David Sylvian on the Secrets from the Beehive tour. He played second guitar. David Torn played guitar with David Sylvian. And on this album, you do have David Torn. You also have, I think there's a guy named, let's see, what was his name? David Torn, Steven Jansen, who is the drummer from Japan. Happy Rhodes, I'm familiar with that name, but I cannot tell you who it is. And John Durant, who is another guitar player. Robbie Aceto does all the vocals and a lot of the guitars. And I never see anybody talking about this album. It's really good. It kind of is in... Well, this album is like rare, like Andy Reinhardt's CMP album called Jason's Chord. Damn, I should have shown that. That album is awesome. An EP. This is probably one of the cooler EPs in my collection that's not metal. There's not a lot of EPs by other bands that aren't metal in my collection. But Fugazi, this was, I think, the last thing they really put out studio-wise. And the bass sound on this album is fantastic. If you have not heard this and you are a Fugazi fan, then you should consider yourself a fraud failure, because this sounds awesome. The bass might actually be too loud. An all-girl group. I was going to grab the Donnas, but I figured somebody has already shown them. So I figured I would show Fanny and this awesome 4-disc box set, which I've shown in other videos before, but I think more people watch these vinyl tags videos of people's stuff that they haven't watched before. This thing is fantastic. I got it for $40. The thing goes for like $150 now. An album cover you love. Universe Zero's Heresy. They were taking band photos in this backyard. It had rained and there was like mud everywhere. And for some reason, the bass player decided to sit in a wheelchair for part of the photo shoot, even though, and I thought he needed the wheelchair for a long time, but it turns out he did not. It was just, they had it there, so they used it. And I have a t-shirt of this, and this guy looks like Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's, and my wife always calls this my Weekend at Bernie's shirt. All right. An album that you've listened to the most, regularly from back in the day or regularly more recently, or just lots of times over the course of your lifetime. That would be River Dogs, which is the second album, along with Misplaced Childhood by Marillion, that I would turn the radio off and just sing by memory this whole album backwards and forwards. There's maybe a couple, one or two songs at the end that I don't know all the lyrics of, but this thing is fantastic. And this was with Vivian Campbell after he had left Dio. And honestly, I think this is the best thing Vivian Campbell ever did. An album you had to get the original pressing of. So this is the original CD version of Vandergraaf Generator's Still Life. I have the remaster that Peter Hamill did, but I love this album so much that I had to hear what the original CD pressing sounded like, because a lot of people on either Hoffman forums or Progressive Ears were talking about how bad the mastering from the ones that Peter Hamill did were. They are really loud, but that's kind of how I learned to love Vandergraaf anyway, so I don't really mind. The last album you purchased, I actually have 5 Slade CDs coming on the way, but the other day I finally bought a bunch of stuff. Frampton Comes Alive, the deluxe version. I never had that before. Rick Beato keeps on talking about Frampton guitar solos, so I thought, yeah, I'm going to get that. And then the one with Show Me the Way and the studio album. And then I bought 6 Slade albums, but I decided to show this one because this is so far my favorite, because the songs are great, but it also has a song called Lock Up Your Daughters, which the band Lion did a cover of, and I love both versions. They're so fantastic. Let's see. Oh, I screwed it up. I did not grab it. Let me see here. An album that other people don't get that I love or don't understand. The New Monkeys. Basically, in the 80s, they created this New Monkeys TV show, and they put out this album, and it is fantastic. It's so great. Just pure pop. There's a cover of Boy Inside the Man that is fantastic, but every song except for the very last song, which is good, but not as good as every other song. Just awesome. I love this. This is truly a desert island CD. A punk album, or close to it, Allroy's Revenge. I don't know why I still have these stupid stickers on it after 20 years of owning this, or 30 years of owning this. This is my favorite punk/pop punk band. I saw them on the album after this, and then the album after that, and then once with the last singer. For my money, Scott Reynolds is the best singer all ever had. Not that Chad or Dave Smalley or I think that's it were bad, but I just love the albums with Scott Reynolds on it. And I've told him so, and he said, thank you very much. And then my favorite reissue of 2020, Royal Court of China's Geared and Primed. There's this new label called Bad Reputation from France. This has a really awesome remaster where the bass is more present but not super loud. It's just more clear, and this album is so great. Kind of sleazy, kind of like Billy Idol singing for, I don't know, an awesome band. That's all I can say. All right, that was the Vinyl Tag 2021. You'll forgive me if I'm not talking about vinyl, but we're all talking about music, so it doesn't really matter. All right, have a good night.